he's informed the necessary Bucks officials that he believes the time has come now for both of these sides.
NBA X just exploded after a post claimed the Miami Heat are chasing both Giannis Antetokounmpo and Ja Morant without giving up Bam Adebayo or Norman Powell, and Giannis may have seen this coming.
How confident are you'll finish the season with the Bucks?
I don't know.
Fans are stunned, and everyone is asking, how could Miami even pull this off? Let's break it down. The double pursuit. The Miami Heat have positioned themselves at the center of two separate trade negotiations. One involves a two-time MVP. The other involves a two-time All-Star guard. Both players have signaled they want out. The Miami Heat are reportedly trying to land Giannis Antetokounmpo and Ja Morant without giving up Bam Adebayo and Norman Powell. Giannis Antetokounmpo has spent 13 years in Milwaukee. He brought the franchise its first championship in 50 years back in 2021. Now he sits on a team 9 games under 500, stuck in the 12th seed of the Eastern Conference. The Bucks have no path upward. They cannot improve through free agency. They cannot make moves that turn this roster into a contender again.
Ernie, to put it plainly, he has communicated with the Bucks. He's informed the necessary Bucks officials that he believes the time has come now for both of these sides, him and the Bucks, to move on after 13 years, after he led this team, this organization, to its first championship in 50 years in 2021.
The Bucks tried to make it work. They waived and stretched Damian Lillard's contract. They signed Miles Turner. They gave Giannis one more shot at building something in Milwaukee. It failed. The team cannot compete. Giannis does not want a gap year. He does not want to wait. He wants to chase a second championship now. Ja Morant faces a different situation in Memphis. The Grizzlies have committed to a full rebuild. They traded Jaren Jackson Jr. to the Utah Jazz, a move that shocked the league and signaled Memphis is tearing everything down. Morant remains under contract for 2 more years after this season. The Grizzlies have team control. They can keep him. They can trade him. The choice belongs to Memphis, not to Morant.
Shaq, the Grizzlies are wide open for business on Ja Morant. There are multiple teams there with interest.
Morant has expressed a strong preference for the Heat or Timberwolves, but Memphis does not care about his preferences. The Grizzlies will send him wherever they get the best return. His wishes rank below assets and draft picks. The Heat have entered both conversations. They see Giannis as the primary target. They see Morant as the backup plan. If they cannot get the 2-time MVP, they pivot to the explosive point guard. But reports suggest Miami wants both. Not one or the other, both. The Heat's strategy hinges on preserving Adebayo and Powell as core pieces. Adebayo carries a $52 million salary next season. Powell averages between 21.8 and 24 points per game this year. He plays like a borderline all-star. Miami views these two as essential for immediate contention alongside any new acquisitions. Trading them defeats the purpose, so the Heat must find another way. The proposed packages center on expiring contracts and young players. For Giannis, Miami offers Tyler Herro, Terry Rozier, Kel Ware, Nikola Jovic, and multiple first-round picks. The years mentioned include 2029, a 2030 swap, and 2031. Some packages expand to include Jaime Jaquez Jr. or Simone Fontecchio for salary matching purposes. One mock trade suggests the Heat could also acquire Giannis Antetokounmpo and Bobby Portis in a larger deal. For Morant, the offer looks lighter. Miami dangles Rozier and Fontecchio's expiring contracts with minimal assets attached. The market for Morant has been described as shockingly low. His off-court issues and down season have cooled interest around the league. And that works in Miami's favor, because if nobody else bids high, the Heat can get him cheap. But can they really get both without moving Adebayo or Powell? Let's explore deeper. The Giannis pursuit. Giannis Antetokounmpo represents the most coveted trade target in the NBA right now. Every contender wants him. Every rebuilding team wants the assets he could bring back. The Bucks hold all the cards because Giannis still has 1.5 years left on his contract. That means 2 playoff runs for whoever acquires him. That means leverage for Milwaukee.
A lot of teams are holding off on their trade moves to see what happens with you, Giannis. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, can't control that. I can't control what other teams do, man. I just try to focus on my job, which is go out there, compete, and try to win games.
The entire league waits on Milwaukee's decision. Teams have paused their own negotiations. They want to know if Giannis becomes available. They want to know the price. They want to position themselves to make a move if the domino falls.
How confident are you'll finish the season with the Bucks?
I don't know. I take it day by day.
Those 5 words carry massive weight. I don't know. Giannis cannot say he will finish the season in Milwaukee. He cannot guarantee anything. The uncertainty permeates every conversation, every negotiation, every decision happening across the league. The Bucks have narrowed their focus to negotiations with the Heat and Minnesota Timberwolves. Miami's odds of landing him have risen in betting markets. The Heat have emerged as legitimate contenders for the 2-time MVP, though skepticism remains about whether their package can beat rival offers. Giannis reportedly views Miami as his preferred long-term destination among potential teams. The city appeals to him. The big market status appeals to him. The championship culture appeals to him. Heat culture has a reputation. Players who arrive in Miami get pushed. They get developed. They get chances to compete. Giannis sees that. He wants that. But wanting something does not make it happen. Milwaukee demands more draft capital. Reports indicate the Bucks have made counteroffers to Miami, emphasizing the need for additional picks. The Heat's package includes young players, but the Bucks want futures. They want first-round picks that convey in 2030 and 2032. They want swap rights in 2026, 2029, and 2031. They want to rebuild properly, not just acquire bodies.
Minnesota's offer, they have to kind of put it together. Okay. Miami has an offer that they could take. I think Golden State's offer is better because the unprotected picks post-Steph I value more.
Golden State looms as the primary competition. The Warriors can offer unprotected picks from the post-Steph Curry era. Those picks carry more value because Golden State projects to decline once Curry retires. Miami's picks come from a franchise that plans to remain competitive. Competitive teams pick late. Late picks carry less value. ESPN analysts note that Miami's offer might not be the strongest in talent, but could win out if Giannis pushes for South Beach. Player preference matters in these situations. Milwaukee can demand the best package available, but they also must consider where Giannis wants to go. If he refuses to commit long-term to a destination, that destination's offer loses value. Teams want guarantees. They want to know the superstar they acquire will sign an extension. The timeline creates pressure on all sides. Brian Windhorst laid out the stakes clearly. Midnight serves as the unofficial deadline before the official deadline. Complex trades require time. Lawyers must review contracts. Salary matching must work under the CBA. Third teams might need to get involved. All of that takes hours. If Milwaukee does not have a framework in place by midnight, the trade likely waits until summer. The Heat is exploring third or fourth team involvement to sweeten their package. More teams mean more creativity. Miami could flip assets through intermediaries to acquire additional picks. They could reroute contracts to make salaries match. They could construct something that gives Milwaukee what it wants, without Miami giving up what it refuses to lose. Recent X discussions highlight real-time buzz, including sightings of Giannis at Miami International Airport and claims of a 3-team deal nearing finalization. Rumors spread fast during trade deadline week. Not all of them proved true, but the volume of chatter suggests something real exists beneath the speculation. Some reports suggest the Bucks have informed the Heat they are not in the sweepstakes, shifting Miami's focus elsewhere. Contradictory information flows constantly. One source says Miami leads, another says Miami got eliminated. The truth likely sits somewhere in between. Milwaukee keeps multiple teams engaged to drive up the price. That negotiating tactic creates confusion by design. CBS Sports argues Miami is the ideal fit, beating out New York's veteran-heavy proposals. The Knicks have made offers. The Warriors have made offers. The Timberwolves have made offers. Each package carries different strengths and weaknesses. Miami's strength lies in the combination of young talent and Heat culture. Their weakness lies in the limited draft capital available. Giannis himself spoke about his situation in terms that left the door wide open. He said he wants to be a Milwaukee Bucks until he retires and wins a championship there. He wants to stay, but only if staying means winning. If Milwaukee cannot deliver championships, Giannis will leave. The Bucks cannot deliver championships with this roster. Therefore, Giannis will leave. The logic follows clearly. That interpretation cuts through the diplomatic language. Giannis wants out. He simply wants the franchise to initiate the breakup, so history remembers him as loyal. He gave Milwaukee everything. He delivered a championship. Now the organization must release him to pursue more. The Ja Morant contingency. Ja Morant serves as Miami's backup plan, but calling him a backup undersells the potential impact. The two-time All-Star guard brings explosive athleticism, highlight reel finishes, and playmaking ability that few players in the league can match. His market value has cratered. His off-court issues have scared teams away. His down season has raised questions about his future. All of that creates opportunity for the Heat. The Grizzlies have torn down their roster. They sent Jaren Jackson Jr. to Utah in a deal that signaled complete capitulation. Memphis no longer tries to win now. They accumulate assets. They position themselves for the future. Morant does not fit that timeline. He sits in his prime. He wants to compete. He wants championships. Memphis wants draft picks. The Grizzlies are not open to working with Ja Morant to send him to his preferred destination. They will trade him wherever they get the best return. His preferences for Miami or Minnesota mean nothing to the front office. This stands in contrast to how some teams handle star requests. The Grizzlies prioritize assets over accommodation. Miami has shown interest in Morant for months, viewing the Heat's culture as a fresh start for him amid his off-court issues. Heat culture has rehabilitated players before. It has taken talented individuals with question marks and turned them into contributors. The organization believes they can do the same with Morant. They see potential. They see upside. They see a player who needs the right environment to thrive. However, Miami is unwilling to part with significant assets like young players or first-round picks, aiming for a low-cost deal similar to the Trae Young trade. The Heat wants Morant cheap. They see his depressed market value as leverage. They believe Memphis will eventually accept a lesser package because no one else offers more. The contract situation complicates matters. Morant cannot force his way out like an expiring player might. He has 2 years remaining. Memphis holds power. They can keep him past the deadline and revisit trades in the summer. They can wait for a better offer. They can demand more than Miami currently offers. The market for Morant is described as shockingly low. His off-court controversies have damaged his reputation. His inconsistent play this season has raised performance questions. Teams wonder if they get the all-star version of Morant or the version that struggles. That uncertainty depresses bids across the league. Potential packages from the Heat center on expiring contracts like Rozier and Fontecchio with minimal draft capital. Miami does not want to gut their future for Morant. They view him as a buy low opportunity. If they overpay, they lose the advantage that this depressed market provides. The entire appeal lies in acquiring him cheaply. If the Antetokounmpo talks falter, Miami could pivot aggressively to Morant, potentially even exploring a double acquisition without moving Bam Adebayo or Norman Powell. This represents the ambitious scenario. Miami gets both superstars. Miami keeps their core intact. Miami emerges from the deadline as the most improved team in the Eastern Conference. The Jaren Jackson Jr. deal opened new possibilities for Memphis. The Grizzlies can now absorb bad salary from other teams in exchange for assets. That flexibility changes the Morant equation. Memphis could take on unwanted contracts if teams attach picks. That creates new trade scenarios that did not exist before the Jackson deal. Reinforces Miami's pursuit with reports of internal discussions and Morant's camp pushing for South Beach. Social media fills with speculation during deadline week. Insiders drop hints. Aggregators amplify rumors. The volume of Morant to Miami talk suggests real conversations exist behind the scenes. Some skepticism exists, with ESPN noting a Heat pursuit is highly unlikely due to cap space priorities for 2028. Miami has financial considerations beyond this deadline. They project toward future cap space. Adding Morant's salary might compromise those plans. The Heat must balance present improvement against future flexibility. Reports indicate Morant purchased a house in Miami. Fans seized on this detail as evidence of an impending deal. Players buy property in many cities. Real estate investments do not guarantee trades, but the timing struck observers as notable. Why buy in Miami right before the deadline? The Grizzlies maintain leverage despite Morant's apparent preferences. They control his contract. They control the timeline. They can wait. Memphis faces no pressure to trade now. If they dislike current offers, they keep Morant and revisit the market in the summer when more teams can participate. Miami walks a delicate line. They want Morant but refuse to overpay. They view him as the consolation prize if Giannis falls through. They believe his market value will remain low. They believe Memphis will eventually capitulate. Whether that belief proves correct determines whether Morant wears a Heat uniform this season. The financial gymnastics. Acquiring 2 superstars without trading 2 all-star level players requires creativity, that pushes against the boundaries of NBA salary cap rules. The Heat have constructed a strategy that relies on expiring contracts, young assets, and multi-team involvement. The math must work. The CBA must allow it. The other teams must accept the packages. All of these pieces must align perfectly for Miami's vision to become a reality. The Heat's strategy hinges on preserving Adebayo at $52 million next season and Powell averaging 21.8 and 24.0 points per game and seen as a borderline all-star. Miami views these two as essential. Adebayo provides elite defense and playmaking from the center position. Powell provides scoring punch and veteran presence. Together with Giannis and Morant, they would form a core capable of competing for championships immediately. The framework involves several key contracts. Terry Rozier carries an expiring deal that can match salary and trades. Andrew Wiggins has a $30.2 million player option that Miami apparently controls in some scenario. Simone Fontecchio provides additional salary matching capability. These expiring contracts become the primary trade chips because they offer receiving teams financial flexibility. One hypothetical framework for Antetokounmpo includes Harrow, Ware, Rozier, Jaquez, Jakuchionis, 2 firsts, and 3 swaps. The package strips Miami of nearly all their young talent and future draft assets. Harrow represents the biggest piece. The 2-time 6th Man of the Year contender brings scoring and playmaking. Ware shows promise as a young big man. Jaquez provides versatile wing play. Jakuchionis offers point guard depth.
But the Miami offer, which has young players and a couple of draft picks in it, they could take that offer. And especially if Giannis wants to do it. But it really comes down to why would they trade him if they don't have to trade him?
The question cuts to the heart of the negotiation. Milwaukee holds leverage. They do not need to trade Giannis before the deadline. They can wait until summer when more teams can participate. They can demand better offers. Miami must convince the Bucks that their package represents the best available option right now. The package could potentially bring in Giannis Antetokounmpo for salary matching, leaving a lineup of Davion Mitchell, Powell, Wiggins, Giannis, and Adebayo. That starting 5 presents interesting combinations. Giannis and Adebayo together create a dominant front court defensively. Powell provides perimeter scoring. Mitchell offers point guard play. Wiggins contributes wing defense and occasional offense. For the Morant trade, Miami's offer remains significantly lighter. Potential packages center on Rozier and Fontecchio's expirings with minimal draft capital. The Heat bet that Memphis accepts less because no one else bids higher. They exploit Morant's depressed market value. They capitalize on the Grizzlies' desperation to accumulate assets during their rebuild. Multi-team involvement could flip Wiggins for additional picks to bolster the Giannis package, avoiding the tax hit while filling roster spots with buyouts or free agents. Third and fourth teams create possibilities that 2-team trades cannot. A team with cap space might absorb salary in exchange for a pick. A team seeking specific players might trade future assets for current ones. The combinations multiply with each additional participant. The combined salaries next season could reach $155.2 million. That figure exceeds every luxury tax threshold. Miami would face significant penalties. The repeater. Tax compounds costs for teams that exceed thresholds in consecutive years. Owner Mickey Arison must approve massive spending. The financial commitment extends beyond this season into multiple future years. The pros of this approach appear obvious. Forming a top-tier core with Antetokounmpo averaging 28.0 points per game and 10.0 rebounds per game, Morant as a dynamic guard, Adebayo defensively, and Powell scoring creates a legitimate championship contender. The Eastern Conference remains open. No team has separated as the clear favorite. A Heat team with this core immediately enters the championship conversation. The cons create significant concerns. Cap strain, depleting depth, and future assets leave Miami vulnerable. If injuries strike, the Heat have no backup plan. If the core does not mesh, Miami has traded away the pieces needed to pivot. If Giannis or Morant leave in free agency, the Heat receive nothing in return for their depleted draft capital. Pat Riley has navigated these situations before. He has engineered super team constructions. He has pushed salary boundaries. He has taken risks that other executives avoid. His track record gives Miami credibility when pursuing ambitious moves. Other teams know Riley will find ways to make deals work. The roster construction post-trade presents challenges beyond the starting lineup. Miami would fill roster spots with buyouts or free agents like Myron Gardner. Minimum salary players and veterans chasing rings typically emerge after the deadline. Teams over the cap must rely on this pool to fill roster holes. The quality varies. Some buyout players contribute, others disappear in the playoffs. The financial gymnastics required to pull off both trades simultaneously strain credulity from many observers. Some express doubt, calling it unrealistic or annual Heat hype. Miami generates trade rumors every deadline. Not all of them materialize. The gap between speculation and execution remains significant. Others see it as feasible given Riley's history. The Heat have pulled off unlikely moves before. They brought LeBron James and Chris Bosh to Miami. They found ways around cap restrictions that other teams considered insurmountable. Betting against Pat Riley has proven unwise historically. The obstacles and alternatives. Several barriers stand between Miami and their dual acquisition goals. Competition from other franchises threatens to outbid the Heat for Giannis. Memphis's stubbornness on Morant could extend negotiations past the deadline. Financial constraints limit Miami's flexibility. Rival executives work to block deals that would strengthen a conference competitor.
Bobby, if the Warriors and Milwaukee Bucks are to strike a deal here, would Draymond Green need to be in it?
He would, unless you're going to include Jimmy Butler here. And it's really as complex as the CBA is. It's simple math here. When you're looking at Draymond, who makes close to 26, remember this is a second apron team. They cannot take back more money in a deal here.
Golden State represents the primary competition for Giannis. The Warriors can offer Draymond Green, Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, and 4 first-round picks in 2026, 2028, 2030, and 2032. Those unprotected picks carry significant value because Golden State projects to decline in the post-Curry era. Milwaukee would receive futures that could become high lottery selections.
And I said, well, how would you feel if you still here on Thursday? And he goes, God's plan, God's plan.
All right, so Draymond Green ready to accept whatever happens. Jonathan Kuminga hoping to see some action
he'll walk
here.
to Milwaukee.
The Warriors have made their intentions clear. They want Giannis. They will sacrifice current players and future assets to acquire him. Steph Curry's championship window remains open for perhaps 2 more years. Golden State wants to maximize that window by adding a second superstar capable of dominating games. The Timberwolves have also entered the Giannis sweepstakes. Minnesota can offer packages centered on young players and picks. Anthony Edwards remains untouchable, but surrounding pieces could move. The Wolves want to pair Giannis with Edwards, creating a dominant 2-man nucleus for years to come. Miami's Eastern Conference location presents both advantages and disadvantages. The path to the finals appears easier through the East. Cleveland, Boston, and New York present challenges but not insurmountable ones. However, the Heat must compete against Western Conference packages that might appear more attractive from a pure asset perspective. The Knicks have made veteran-heavy proposals for Giannis. New York possesses assets and picks. They have young players and veteran contracts. The Madison Square Garden stage appeals to stars seeking maximum exposure. New York could emerge as a dark horse in negotiations if Miami's package fails to satisfy Milwaukee. The timing pressure intensifies with each passing hour. Complex trades require extensive preparation. Lawyers must review contract language. Medical records must transfer between teams. Salary matching must satisfy CBA requirements. The logistical challenges multiply when 3 or 4 teams participate in a single transaction. Giannis has not formally demanded a trade. He has communicated his readiness to move on. He has indicated that the time has come. But he has not issued the kind of ultimatum that forces a team's hand. Milwaukee can delay. Milwaukee can wait for summer. Milwaukee can extract maximum value by extending. Negotiations. If both targets fall through, Miami could pivot to smaller moves or stand pat. The Heat built flexibility last offseason with Powell's acquisition. They can run back this roster and compete in a weak Eastern Conference. They can make marginal improvements at the deadline without pursuing superstars. The backup plan lacks excitement, but provides security. The Heat's culture and ability to rehabilitate stars like Morant make them appealing. Players recognize what Miami offers. The organization pushes players physically. It demands accountability. It creates environments where talented individuals maximize their potential. That reputation attracts stars who want to compete rather than coast. Cap mechanics and rival bids could derail Miami's plans. The CBA creates hard boundaries that creativity cannot overcome. Second apron teams face severe restrictions. Salary matching requirements limit flexibility. Teams cannot simply want a deal to happen. The math must work. The rules must allow it. The competitive landscape shifts constantly during deadline week. New information emerges hourly. The package offers change. Teams recalculate their positions. What appears certain at noon collapses by dinner. What seems impossible in the morning happens by midnight. Brian Windhorst and Shams Charania highlight Miami's position among finalists for Giannis, but the dual acquisition is seen as a long shot, potentially league-breaking if executed. The ambition alone deserves recognition. Few franchises would even attempt to acquire 2 superstars while preserving their existing core. Miami's willingness to pursue the impossible reflects the organization's self-image as an elite destination capable of assembling championship rosters through sheer force of will. The next few days will determine whether the Heat's ambition translates into reality. Either Miami pulls off one of the most stunning deadline acquisitions in NBA history, or they return to their current roster and plan for the summer. The gap between those outcomes represents the uncertainty that makes deadline day compelling. So think about it. If the Heat somehow land Giannis and Morant without sacrificing Bam, would this instantly break the NBA's balance of power? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. For more videos like this, click on this next card on your screen.